Now it's time to put the plumbing in. Now they put the drywall in. Now they're putting the carpet in. They're putting the fixtures in. I mean, we're just watching it fall like dominoes.
We're on the march. The empire's on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
A very wealthy U.S. citizen is predicting that in 2011, we will witness the most important day in America in more than 50 years. He says it will change everything about our lives. The way you shop, travel, invest, educate your children, and even how you take care of your health and your own family. Now, this man has made some outrageous predictions over the years. The crazy part is, he's usually right. You see, he predicted the collapse of GM, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and America's biggest mall owner, General Growth Properties. In fact, Barron's called his work a dire prophecy. Recently, he created a video, which you can watch online for free, detailing his biggest and most important prediction yet. And it's a real eye-opener. I can't stress this enough. You should at least watch this free video online today. He explains everything you need to know, including simple steps you can take to protect yourself. You can find the video at www.endofamerica3.com. That's endofamerica, the number 3.com. Watch the free video at www.endofamerica3.com. That's endofamerica3.com.
Alex told you the government announced recently that the recession is over. It ended on June of 2009. The millions of Americans unable to find work might not agree. Perhaps the recession ended for the bankers and government employees, but for the rest of us, things seem to be getting worse. Gold and silver haven't heard the news either. They've begun their long-expected journey to the moon. In addition to converting your shrinking dollars into gold and silver, you should consider a food savings account from eFoods Direct. They both make fabulous investments. Food is our greatest dependency, and we know it will be more precious than any financial resource. You and your family need food to survive a crisis, and you can't eat paper, stocks, or metals. Alex has been urging you to invest in delicious, easy-fix meals to enjoy now or save for long-term. This will freeze the cost of your food while you can still afford it. Visit efoodsdirect.com on the internet or call 800-409-5633. That's efoodsdirect.com or 800-409-5633.
You may be arrested and/or subject to other police action.
Tyranny is here. The grim future foretold in 1984 has become reality.
It really says that the state is God.
The United States is now recognized globally as one of the most oppressive police states on earth. This film conclusively proves the existence of a secret network of FEMA camps, now being expanded nationwide. This documentary exposes how the continuity of government program has established an all-powerful shadow state. Police State 4 chronicles the sickening depths to which our republic has fallen. Prepare to enter the secretive world of emergency dictatorship. Body scanners, sound cannons, citizen spies, stage terror, and cameras on every street corner. It's only the beginning of the New World Order's hellish plan. The police state isn't coming. It's here. Secure your copy today at Infowars.com or see it online in the highest quality at PrisonPlanet.tv.
I was a highwayman. Along the coach roads I did ride, with sword and pistol by my side.
Well, there couldn't be a better time to have the editor and publisher of the Gloom Boom Doom Report, gloomboomdoom.com, economist Marc Faber. I can't go over his illustrious bio in the time we have, the next 25 minutes, but he, of course, graduated at 24 with a Ph.D. in economics, magna cum laude. And he joins us from Thailand today, a real expert on world markets, especially what's happening in Asia. And I've got so much to discuss with him on oil, gold, what's going to happen with the Chinese. Could they dump a bunch of gold in the market, where he sees everything going? We have to say his forecasting is among some of the most accurate in the world. Again, gloomboomdoom.com. Mr. Faber, good to have you here with us.
It's my pleasure.
Okay, well, you've got the floor from Thailand. What in the world is going on right now on this planet? What do you see happening?
Well, basically, we have to go back to the 1970s to fully understand what happened. In the 1970s, they printed money in the U.S., and commodity prices went ballistic. And they overshot on the upside because of the money printing. And after 1980, they then declined because as they went up too much, supplies came into the market, so all commodities went down until 1998. During the decline in commodity prices, no new mining was undertaken, no exploration took place, no new oil fields were looked for, because as prices went down, there was no economic reason to look for new oil. But then, after 1998, commodity prices started to rise, and because of the combination of the opening of China, the incremental demand from China, and also increasingly India and other emerging economies, commodity prices started to go up. And because of the money printing in the U.S. by this rather despicable character, Mr. Bernanke, they went ballistic. And so we have very high inflation in most countries. And in many countries, this high inflation in food prices, energy prices, has had an impact on the wallet of the typical household. Because whereas in the U.S., we say a per capita income of $40,000, food is not a huge component in people's income. In emerging economies, where, say, the per capita income in Vietnam, India, is only $1,000 per year, food and energy makes maybe 50% of people's income.
And, of course, you're now, I guess, alluding to what we see happening in North Africa. Libya, now it looks like, is basically falling to the rebellion. Reportedly, Muammar Gaddafi has fled to Venezuela. What is driving these revolutions that we're seeing popping up around the world? And if it is overall dollar devaluation and commodity increases, how much worse is it going to get? I mean, how bad is the inflation going to get?
Well, the really big question is whether these unrest we have in Tunisia, Libya, Bahrain, Egypt will spread to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. If they do, it will be very difficult for the U.S. to take sides, because on the one hand, the U.S. has supported the vicious regimes of a Mr. Mubarak. They have supported the royal family of Saudi Arabia. They never asked Saudi Arabia to have reforms and democracy, whereas they embargo countries like Myanmar. So where will they stand? What can they do? And the CIA is completely useless. They had no idea that these unrest would start. They had no ground information that something was going on. And so the U.S., and particularly this incapable president that the U.S. has no way to react properly.
Mr. Faber, I mean, looking at this as an economist and as a forecaster, obviously it's spreading. The inflation is intensifying. How bad in the near term and the long term do you see the inflation getting? I know you don't want to, you can't make exact predictions, but what do you see happening in the to the dollar? What do you see happening to gold, silver, other commodities? I mean, they're skyrocketing right now.
Well, I would say the following. I have a large subscriber base. I asked all my subscribers to please send me an email if they had the feeling that their cost of living were going up by less than 5% per annum. I didn't receive a single email. And so I think that the inflation or the cost of living increases in the U.S. and elsewhere is much higher than what the government is publishing. And I think this is having a negative impact on consumption, because obviously the cost of necessities insurance, taxes, food, energy is going up very rapidly. And my answer to all this is, the worse the economic conditions will become, the worse the geopolitical conditions will become, the more Mr. Bernanke and his fellow Fed governors will print money. And so I'm not ultra bearish on equities. I think they will now correct because the market is way overbought. And so we can easily have a correction of 10, 15%. But I think as soon as the market drops, say, 15, 20%, QE3 will come into play. And all that is favorable for silver and gold. Now, the question is gold and silver expensive or is it cheap? Say, in 1999, you could buy an ounce of gold for $252. Now it's $1,400. Is it cheap or expensive? Well, in a money-printing environment, it's very difficult to decide what is expensive and what is cheap, because the function of money to be a unit of account and a store of value is being lost through the money printing. And so my view would be, relative to 99, the price of gold is expensive at $1,400. But relative to the money printing, maybe not. And so my advice to all your listeners is to gradually accumulate gold. Don't trade it, don't buy it on margin, just gradually accumulate it.
And not so much as
month by month.
Yeah, not so much as an investment or just as a hedge against inflation.
Not to own any gold is to trust the U.S. government, to trust that they will ever balance the budget again. I don't think they will ever balance the budget again, and I think the budget deficit will range between $1.5 trillion to $2 trillion for the next 5 years. I don't think they'll come down. And basically, I think the U.S. government is bankrupt.
Sir.
But before they go, they will not default on the debt. They will just print money. And not to own gold and silver is to trust Mr. Bernanke. Now go and look at his speeches, and then you tell me whether you rather trust gold or Mr. Bernanke.
We're talking to Marc Faber, the gloomboomdoom.com website, editor and publisher of the Gloom Boom Doom Report. We have links to it up on Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. So for a radio host sitting here in Austin, Texas, Dr. Faber, looking at this, you've been completely right in your long-term breakdowns of what's happened. The mainstream media moguls in financial news continue to put out disinformation because they have a vested interest in not giving their listeners and viewers the real truth so they can position themselves while continuing to milk and sucker the public. But do we just see a gradual dollar devaluation causing ongoing commodity increases, or is there a danger of some type of hyper event, some type or a group of stairs that we basically bounce down, to the bottom, and knowing the policies of the Western world, versus what you would do to fix it. I want to ask you that in a moment. What's the end game? I mean, what's the time frame? 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years? What do we look like at the end of this? Something like Japan with just an eternal recession?
Yes, but Japan didn't have high inflation, and because prices came down, actually real incomes went up. So Japan is not all that badly off. What, however, happened is that government debt went ballistic. And I think that now Japan will have more inflation through food prices and energy prices. and that this will be bad for the yen. And